And what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Madden 20 Carolina Panthers franchise. As you can see, we are through the regular season, and Ron Rivera got the week off to prepare for the playoffs, whoever it would be that we would face. The last game of the year, 32-6 over the Saints. That was a bizarre game. I almost think I got caught in like one of those glitchy games because the 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 Saints in the first half, they weren't playing like the Saints. They were like not going down the field at all. Once it got loosened up a little bit, they kind of started playing like the Saints. But that 32-6 win was a dominant win on both sides of the ball. A very complete game. That has a lot of people thinking that maybe the Panthers and not the Packers, who are the number 1 seed, the Panthers are the number 2 seed, that it's the Panthers that are the team to beat in the NFC as they finish 5 straight wins and just destroy the New Orleans Saints for the NFC South crown. A couple these videos, these quarter videos, so that way you can kind of see the upgrades and what's going on there. So as you can see, Brian Burns, I unlocked his superstar potential. He's got 2 upgrades that I can get. So we're just going to continue to build him as a speed rusher. As we can see, we get finesse moves +2, +1 tackle. And we're going to do, again, speed rusher. We'll see what we get here. We get +1 awareness, +2 pursuit, tackle, and zone coverage. So that's nice for him. Luke Kuechly has an upgrade. We're going to do field general, and that's going to put him at a 99 as a field general. So his overall is just 99 now. Back to a 99 for Luke Kuechly. Christian McCaffrey's got an upgrade. I'm going to do elusive back for this one, as we get +1 awareness, ball carrier vision, +2 break tackle. So those are some good upgrades for McCaffrey. Dante Jackson. I'm going to work his zone a little bit here. We get some upgrades for zone coverage. Taylor Moton, the left tackle. We're going to do pass protector. James Bradbury. I'm going to work on slot just to get him a scheme fit. So that way we can get some added upgrades for him as we go through training and whatnot. Shaq Thompson. We're going to do field general for him. Brings him up to an 80 overall. I locked him up to a 3-year extension this season. I do not want to make this like a 30-minute video like I did the last time. As you can see, our overall is up to an 82. It was a 78 at the beginning of the preseason. It's up to an 82, 85 offense, 83 defense now. As we'll look at the final standings, and then we'll look at a few of the league leaders. I won't really go as far in depth into it as I did in the last quarter video. As we can see in the NFC, the Packers are the number 1 seed at 12-4, and the Packers, I don't know if I said Panthers, the Packers are the number 1 seed, 12-4. Carolina, 11-4-1, are the 2 seed. And then the Giants looks like the 3 seed with a 9-7, a ton of 9-7 teams. You can even count the Saints in that 9-6-1. But the Giants surprisingly made the playoffs, won their division. And then the Rams will be the 4th seed. Saints the 5th seed, and it looks like Cowboys the 6th seed. So We'll look in the AFC. The Chiefs were 12-4. The Browns 12-4. Patriots 11-5. They started off the season 1-4, and it was just like they've been doing this to us for the last several years. They start out really slow. Now this time they started out like dangerously slow. They start out slow. They go to 1-2, or well, I remember a couple of years ago their defense couldn't do anything, and they always find a way to rebound, and it looks like they're going to compete for another Super Bowl at 11-5. So they are the 3 seed, and the 4th seed, the Jaguars. I remember we beat them. We knocked them down to a 1-4 record. They ended up going 8-2 the last 10 games of the year. So they definitely rebounded. And then looks like the 5th seed will be the Ravens, and the Buffalo Bills, the 6th seed. So the Bills making the playoffs. We'll look at some of the division standings. As you can see, the Browns won the AFC North. The Ravens get in as a wild card. And the Steelers go 7-8-1. Bengals 5-11. AFC South. Now, this was one that I thought was going to come down to 7 or 8 wins. But Jacksonville completely dominated the second half of the season, it looks like. But the Colts 7-9. Titans 7-9. Texans 4-12. That's surprising. I thought the Texans would be one of the better teams in the game this year. But, of course, Simming being what it is. But Patriots 11-5. The Bills getting in as a wild card in the AFC East. And then the AFC West. Disappointing year for the Chargers for sure. A lot of people were saying that they were going to contend for a Super Bowl. The Broncos and Raiders 6-10. And the Chiefs finished 12-4. They're going to be the favorites in the AFC, I would imagine, with Patrick Mahomes being the highest rated quarterback in the game. Their explosive offense, and they made enough changes on their defense to where it could take some pressure off of their offense, but it's looking like the Chiefs are going to be the favorites there. NFC North, Packers the only team to make the playoffs. The Bears barely missing on tiebreakers, barely missing out. The Lions 8-8, so fairly competitive division there with the Packers at 12-4. Now they started 10-0, so they went 2-4 down the stretch, and that's why you look at Carolina 5 consecutive wins, and then you saw the way that they got the last win against the Saints, completely shutting down. I believe they were going into that game the top offense in football. But the Saints are one of the wild card teams. The NFC East, the Giants winning the East at 9-7. Cowboys get in as a wild card. Eagles, the highest rated team in Madden this year, barely missing the playoffs at 8-8. So, Simming being what it is. Rams 9-7. Now Aaron Donald was out for a majority of the season, so it looks like that could have affected their defense a little bit. 7-8-1 for the 49ers, 7-9. That's a good season for Arizona. 7-9. Considering they started out 0-3 and they only won like 2 games the year before, so a 5-game improvement. And finishing off the season strong. They were 0-3, so finishing off the season, 7-6. I mean, after the 0-3 start, I mean that's a good season for Arizona. If you're an Arizona fan, that's a good season. And just the Seahawks 5 consecutive losses to end the season just completely fell off the map. So that's how the final NFC standings go. We'll look at the awards, which surprisingly, Matt Ryan, despite only leading his team to 7 wins, is going to be the MVP, winning it over Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Cam Newton just completely destroyed it. We completely destroyed it with Cam Newton the second half of the season. Specifically, I would say the last quarter of the season just completely just started to figure out the passing game. But we'll see Coach of the Year. Matt LaFleur, the first-year coach for the Green Bay Packers, is going to win, beating out Freddie Kitchens and Andy Reid, and Ron Rivera finishes 4th. AFC Offensive Player of the Year was Pat Mahomes. Defensive Player of the Year, Von Miller. Offensive Rookie of the Year is going to be Marquise Brown. Defensive Rookie of the Year, Devin Bush for the Steelers. Best quarterback, of course, Mahomes. Best running back, Kareem Hunt for the Browns. Best wide receiver, Julian Edelman. Offensive lineman of the year is going to be Mitchell Schwartz. Best defensive lineman is going to be Calais Campbell. Linebacker, of course, Von Miller. Best defensive back, Tayshaun Gibson Sr. And best kicker, Harrison Butker, who was on the Panthers roster as a rookie a couple years ago. They actually carried 2 kickers into the regular season before trading him. Or they might have eventually had to cut him, but they went with 2 kickers because they were trying to get a trade for Butker. And it's looking like the way that Graham Gano's season went, they might have been trying to, trade Gano. But we'll look at the NFC awards. Matt Ryan, Offensive Player of the Year, despite only leading his team to 7 wins. Defensive Player of the Year, Luke Kuechly with Brian Burns close behind. Offensive Rookie of the Year is going to be Kyler Murray. Defensive Rookie of the Year with Brian Burns, 15.5 sacks. That broke Javon Curse's rookie record, which was 14.5 for a rookie record for sacks. Brian Burns beat that this year, 15.5 sacks. Best quarterback, freaking Matt Ryan. Best running back, Ezekiel Elliott. Best wide receiver was Julio Jones. Offensive lineman of the year is David. I'm really bad with pronouncing names, as some of y'all could tell. I'm not even going to try to butcher that name. Damon Harris Sr. is best defensive lineman. Best linebacker of the year, Brian Burns, as a rookie. He's going to have tons of upgrades if it's anything like last year, winning all these awards. I'm pretty sure he was the league leader in sacks. We'll double check that. The best defensive back is Roby Coleman. Best kicker is Dan freaking Bailey for the Vikings. So that's a look at the NFC and AFC plus the league awards as a whole. We finished 12th in offense, 1st in defense, 16th in points scored, and I believe second in points allowed. I think we actually I bumped the sliders up a little bit. I toned them down after the first few games because I was generating no pass rush, and then I started getting a pass rush. I bumped up the sliders a little bit. I had them as low as 43, and then I could put them up at 47. I'm kind of liking that a little bit, but I think that we ended up leading the league in sacks this year, maybe. No, we finished 3rd. But 48 sacks, 50 sacks for the Browns to lead the NFL. So we'll kind of look at the Cam Newton's numbers here. Career high, I believe, in yardage. Let's see. Where are the stats at here? There we go. I believe it was a career high in passing yards this year for Cam. Yep, career high. Best since his rookie year. Where only the second time in his career he's thrown for over 4,000 yards. And 28 touchdowns to 13 picks. Running, Christian McCaffrey, of course, dealt with the injuries all year. Still ended up with 909 rushing yards, 4.2 yards per carry, and 4 rushing touchdowns. Jordan Scarlett had a pretty good rookie year for him. He, of course, had a big 97-yard run this year, and he ends up with 465 rushing yards with 1 touchdown. And Cam Newton, 389 yards rushing for 6 touchdowns. You can see the rushing is down this year. I was not trying to get Cam murdered. And plus, I don't want to cheese the computer. I felt like if I wanted to, I probably could have gotten over 1,000 yards rushing with Cam, but I didn't want to cheese the computer too much, so I just kind of ran when I absolutely had no other option. As we can see, Curtis Samuel leads the way in receiving yards. 2,000-yard receivers this year for the Panthers. 8 touchdowns for him, 10 touchdowns for DJ Moore. So definitely, this could be, if we can keep them together. I don't know what kind of contract demands they're going to be. They're still in the low 80s. Curtis Samuel is going to be in the low 80s when his contract is due next year. So it's going to be interesting to see how much money he wants. But this could be really a dynamic duo at the receiver position. Plus, you add in Christian McCaffrey, what he can do in the passing game. This could be a trio of weapons for Cam as Cam enters the latter half of his career. The latter part of his career, I should say. So long term, this could be a really good. He's only in his third year. He's only in his second year. This could be a dynamic duo for a long time for the Panthers. Torrey Smith, the old veteran, almost 700 yards receiving coming out of the slot this year, 2 touchdowns. Christian McCaffrey, 629 receiving yards and 3 touchdowns. And sight for sore eyes, Greg Olsen. He missed several games with an injury. Only 1 touchdown this year, though. Under 550 yards, but pretty decent production from a tight end, considering he missed some time and considering the age. That is a pretty decent season for Greg Olsen. The defense, of course, Luke Kuechly leading the way in tackles, 144 tackles for us. 98 tackles for Melifonwu. He was all over the field with his speed. That's why I signed him, was because of his speed and he's a really good athlete at the safety position. Eric Reed at 83 tackles, Brian Burns 80, Bruce Irvin, he had a good year for us. 74 tackles, 5.5 sacks. We'll look at the sack totals here. 15.5, of course, for Brian Burns, 5.5 for Irvin. So after Burns, I mean, there's a lot of guys that had several sacks, handful of sacks, but besides Burns, it's not a whole lot, to really hang your hat on. Gerald McCoy had a decent year with 4 sacks. Interception leader was Dante Jackson with 4, James Bradbury with 2, and a whole slew of guys with 1. We'll look at forced fumbles, which was Luke Kuechly's specialty this year. He had 15 forced fumbles. And then the kicking, God, Graham Gano. 72% field goals, missed 10 field goals, and missed 8 extra points. There's going to be a kicking competition in Carolina Panthers training camp next year. But we'll look here at the league leaders now. Matt Ryan, freaking Matt Ryan, led the way with no 5,000-yard passers this year. Tom Brady, of course. Where's Mahomes at? 36 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Drew Brees, Cam Newton now came on strong the latter part of this season. Look at touchdown leaders, Matt Ryan. Trubisky, 37 passing touchdowns, and the Bears still missed the playoffs. That's surprising. That's really surprising to me, as we see lots, but there's tons. I mean, the simming in this first year of this franchise, look at all these passing touchdowns. Even Kyler Murray, a rookie, had 30. Jared Goff led the way with 22 picks. Cam with 13. Watson with 16. Who had the best quarterback rating? A.J. McCarron. Well, that doesn't even really count. Who took the most sacks? Cam Newton took the most sacks, 57. That's surprising. We'll look at some rushing leaders here, and we'll look at some of the other categories, and then we'll get out of here. We'll just kind of look at the top 5. Ezekiel Elliott, Todd Gurley. Kareem Hunt had 16 rushing touchdowns. Big year for him. Saquon Barkley, of course, and Melvin Gordon, 15 touchdowns. Let's look at the rushing touchdown leaders. Kareem Hunt, 16, 15. 12 for Zeke, 11. Receiving, Julian Edelman, 1,400 receiving yards, 15 touchdowns for Edelman. Big season for him. Big season for Julio Jones. Big season for Cole Beasley. Good Lord. Alshon Jeffrey or Emmanuel Sanders. Who had the most receiving touchdowns? Julian Edelman with 15. Beasley with 14. Golden Tate with 14. Allen Robinson with 14. So big numbers here as far as we see DJ Moore there with 10. Look at some of the defensive numbers real quick. Luke Kuechly leading the way in tackles, 144. I think Brian Burns, no, Von Miller had 22. Calais Campbell had 18. and then Brian Burns. So number 3 as a rookie, number 3 in the NFL in sacks. That's pretty good considering the top spot was 22 and 18 the number 2 spot. Interceptions, P.J. Williams, he picked me off twice this year. Roby Coleman, Tayshaun Gibson, Stephon Gilmore. Now, for some reason, they don't list Dante Jackson in these, because he had 4, and he's never on these league leaders. I don't know why that is. We'll look at forced fumbles, just because I like seeing Kuechly's 15 there. 6 was number 2, Bobby Wagner. And so those are the league leaders. So we'll go ahead and we'll sim the wild card weekend round of games, just so we can see who we're playing next week. And then I'm going to get up out of here, and we're going to be back with the divisional round at Carolina. We will see who we will be facing in the next round. So who is it? The Saints. Oh, it's the NFC South matchup. New Orleans coming back to... So this will be back-to-back games for Carolina at home against the New Orleans Saints. That's going to be tough, because I'll tell you, I did up the run blocking AI for the computer, just because I just felt like that was just such a bizarre game, and it might come back to haunt me because I might get completely destroyed by Alvin Kamara. But I did bump up the run blocking AI. I bumped it up to 67. It was at 58. I bumped it up to 67. But let's look at what happened during Wild Card Weekend. What happened? The Buffalo Bills took out the New England Patriots 31-17. Will that be the last game that we see Tom Brady in his career, or possibly with the Patriots? His contract's up. Dallas beat the Giants 21-17. The Jacksonville Jaguars march on 28-21 over Baltimore, and New Orleans gets their revenge against the Rams at the Rams home field at that in the wild card round. A lot of people probably thought that was going to be the NFC Championship game, but it was in the wild card round. They win 34-29. So in the divisional round, we're going to have the Buffalo Bills against the Kansas City Chiefs, and the Cowboys and Packers. Those are the 2 Saturday afternoon games, it looks like. And then on Sunday night will be Jaguars at Browns. And then the Saints and the Panthers will be the primetime game this Sunday for the divisional round. So that's all I got for y'all now. Fun season for sure. I'm glad that for those of you who have stuck around, or maybe you're a late bloomer but you caught up, thanks for supporting me with your likes, with your subscriptions, with your comments. Definitely let you know what you think about me and CMC. Was that cheating? Should I feel bad about that? But at the end of the day, it's my franchise, and I'm just sharing it with y'all. But I try not to be I try not to be cheap and cheese the game like that. But anyway, I'll see y'all later with the divisional round against the Saints.